Hi, I'm Ian and welcome to Executive Grooves. My guest today is Bennett, who's the Chief Executive of National Tramway Museum. And he's going to talk to us about his career journey, his role at the museum, some of the experiences he's had, and some of the successes that he had as well. So let's hear from Graham. Good morning, Graham, and welcome to Executive Grooves. And it's great to be interviewing somebody that shares my passion for trains and trams.
Fantastic. Well, good morning, Ian, as well, and thank you for inviting me along. It's a little bit of a new departure for me, but yes, I love. It's a great combination of stuff to talk about. Yes, a shared passion for heritage vehicles. Some lessons from business, and I know it's a journey that we've both been on for a number of years.
So let's rewind the tape a little bit. Let's take you right back to when you were a teenager. And I'm really fascinated by what sort of music did you listen to when you were a teenager?
Teenage for me was late 70s, early 80s. I think I was probably a fan of the music of the time. That's really where I was
band?
I suppose people like bands like Queen. I suppose in the 70s and 80s. I think moving a little bit further ahead, groups like Guns N' Roses, for me were very, very much music that I could sing along to and listen to endlessly, really.
So tell me, Graham, so how did that teenager who was listening to Queen and Guns N' Roses and all that rock stuff suddenly become CEO of the National Tramway Museum?
Well, I think suddenly is a little bit. It was a little bit of a journey. My background is sales management, commercial leadership. I think a lot of the salespeople that I talk to kind of fall into sales. I don't think you ever really set out with an ambition to go into sales. It's never really on your. I think when you're having your careers talks at school and college, I don't think they're sitting there listing down all the things that you want to do. I think they're looking for lawyers, bankers, doctors, and that sort of thing. I think if you rocked up to your careers interview and said, "What do you want to do?" I said, "I want to go into sales." I think that would be a little bit of a surprise, and I'm not entirely sure they'd know how to react. I just there was an opportunity. It was 1990, quite sort of coincidental actually. It was an advert in the London Evening Standard when they used to do sizable quarter page ads in the in the newspaper, and Stanley Tools, Sheffield based company, American owned, which some people I think didn't realise at the time, but had 3 factories in Sheffield. One of my dad's hobbies was carpentry. He used to make a lot of. Wherever we lived, there was a workshop in the garage that he used to do that. And if I'm honest, I think he saw the advert and thought, "Yeah, that's me tooled up for the rest of my. That's me tooled up for the rest of my life." He kind of found the job. I applied for it, and I was the one that got the job, and I spent 13 great years there, out on the road, pilot bag in the boot of my car, paper customer or cardboard customer record cards, none of this newfangled IT stuff and things like that. No mobile phone, no car phone. But I think we used to have a competition actually amongst the sales team to see who could be who could go the longest without actually speaking to anybody from the office. We used to take orders from customers, stick them in an envelope, put them in the post, and send them off to the office. And they'd, first class post, they get there the following day, get processed, and everything would be absolutely fine. Obviously a different world now, but I think the record, I seem to remember, I think from that competition, I think somebody went for 6 weeks without speaking to anybody from the office. And
wow.
But now, completely different world now. I mean, when I've run sales teams and that, car phones and things like that, what the my way of working wasn't to ring people up to check up on them. It was to, help them with things that they were doing. And if they were trying to get projects over the line or information over the line or information needed for customers, you would talk to them on a regular basis. But that was how communication evolved. It was
Yeah.
my phone communication in the early days of my sales career was find a phone box and get your folder out, wait in the queue, and then get on the phone to your customers, feeding 10p's into the
So
feeding 10p's into the phone.
slightly different now then. So for those
And
people that don't know, tell us a little bit about the tramway, and is it a sales job for you?
well, so the National Tramway Museum, we're based in Crich in Derbyshire, so in the heart of the Peak District. We are a national accredited museum. We have somewhere in the region of 90 trams in our collection. And we got a running fleet out of that of around about 20 to 25 that are we are able to call on and run. We have them from various parts of the country. Glasgow,
Is that
Blackpool.
is that 20 all at once?
No, we wouldn't
Or
run them all at once. We have a
oh, yeah,
fleet, and we would
okay.
have an available fleet of around about 20, and they're available when we're open and running open to visitors and running. Our season had just closed. It's we ended up with we call it a tram light event. So we light up the trams. We open a little bit later and we run the trams into the evening. And we have various, events around light that we have going on around the museum as well. But they are, first generation trams that we've got that some of which date back to, the back end of the 19th century, right through to I think our most modern tram is probably 1950s, 1960s. And they're the ones that we run, and then we've got other ones in the collection that for any number of reasons it's just not practical to get them back and running. There's the parts that we would need for them aren't available anymore, and they form part of some are in our exhibition centre, where we have a exhibition centre that takes you through the timeline of trams right back to horse trams. So we've got 2 or 3 horse trams in the collection, which were before electric trams became much more commonplace. And actually, there's a period around about the 1860s where and we've actually got one in our exhibition centre, which is a steam tram. So it's literally a steam engine that would tow probably the equivalent of a horse tram.
So you're the CEO. What
Yep.
does the role involve? Is it particularly salesy, or is there more to it than that?
So very much my introduction and the reason I'm here is very much that we need to be a lot more commercially focused. We are a heritage attraction. Part of our certainly a big part of our remit is about renovation, preservation, and education, about tram and light rail transport. Back in from the, as I said, from the 1840s, 1850s, right up to, I guess, the last of the sort of first generation trams that were starting to come out of service, right up to the 60s and 70s, where the motor car was the future of transport. That's a fantastic story that we tell, and we've got the original models of those trams in our collection, so it's really, really easy to tell the story. And we get people can come and ride on some of those trams. So there's practical trams for people commuting to work, and then there's pleasure trams that we've got from Blackpool, one of which is known affectionately as the boat, and it is literally boat shaped and is a single decker tram, open top, and is really, really popular on days when it's blazing in sunshine. And ironically, we had it out the weekend when the weather wasn't brilliant, but people still want to queue up and sit on an open tram even when there's a bit of drizzle in the air. So it's quite a favourite for a lot of people that come here. As I say, my role very, very diverse. I run an engineering workshop. I don't run it personally. I have a team that runs it, but ultimately I'm in charge of an engineering workshop. It's there's traffic and tram operations as well. There's a catering facility as well. We've got a brand new cafe that was opened earlier this year, and we've got a shop as well. So another huge innovation we've got is what we're calling the Access Tram. So again, it's another Blackpool tram that we've brought into our collection. It's quite important because it was one of the last British-built single-decker trams that is around, and we're in the process of converting that into an Access Tram, which will mean that wheelchair users can get into a heritage tram. And uniquely, we don't believe this is possible anywhere else. We are actually building an access point at both ends of the tram, so a wheelchair user could actually sit in the driving seat of the tram and actually drive a tram, obviously under supervision.
Wow.
With
That's
an instructor.
Amazing.
We don't believe that is possible anywhere else, certainly in Europe and possibly the world as well. And that will be when that launches. That's planned to launch next August 2026. When that launches, I think that we will do everything we possibly can to make that huge, because I think that's it is a challenge for us. Disabled access on first generation trams is an issue. And we've embraced that challenge, and we're doing something about it. We've raised the money to do it. That conversion is underway at the moment, and it will be something that is not available, we believe, anywhere else.
Wow, that's amazing. I know you're really proud of that, and we've talked about that in the past, and so some great moments. But let's talk a little bit more about leadership, and particularly. Tell us about one of the toughest experiences you've had in leadership.
I think for me coming here, it was for me it's always about the people. It's how do you get the people to respond, to feel empowered, to feel like they are bringing value to the organisation. And I think for me turning up here, that was probably one of the biggest challenges. Was there were some very, very talented people who were maybe not allowed to be themselves, bring all their skills and assets to the party. And for me, really throughout my whole of my management and leadership career has been about empowering the people. I've never really lived in a world where I believe that everything has to come from me. And that's been very much a message that I've passed down, not just in this organisation, but in other organisations I've worked for. Sometimes it's better to come to me and ask for forgiveness than permission, because actually that way things happen a lot quicker. And for me, that's about trusting the team that I've got in place to make the right decisions. And sometimes, you have to. Sometimes there's tough decisions because, the skills that you thought might be there in an individual possibly aren't there, and they need to be upskilled, and they need training to understand how to take that responsibility. But I have to have a team underneath me that I trust to make the right decisions that are for the benefit of the organisation that we're working for. None of us here are bigger than the Tramway Museum. The Tramway Museum, when I'm gone and move on and potentially retire or move on to the next thing, the Tramway Museum will still be here. I see me and the team that I've currently got here as custodians of it for this period of time, and our objective is to leave it in a better state than it was when we joined. So a growing museum, a museum that is looking at new opportunities for heritage light rail transport, and letting somebody else then take the reins at some point in the future and taking it on to the next stage in its evolution. So yeah, I think back to your question, really, absolutely about the people. Do the people feel empowered and engaged in the mission of the organisation to be able to make the right decisions that take the organisation forward?
So I use the word empowered, and of course I meet a lot of people who talk about empowerment.
Yeah.
What does empowerment mean to you? What does it practically mean?
I think practically it means listening to people. I think it means listening to those people that have skills and have expertise that they can bring to the organisation, because it's skills and expertise that they have got, whether that's in engineering, in mechanical engineering, in electrical engineering, particularly in what we do. It's about people who understand about railways and rail tracks, and how wheels and tracks in the interface between wheels and rails. I'll give you a classic example. I've got a fantastic electrical engineer who's actually a volunteer. He's a retired electrical engineer. He comes in here and volunteers. And I think I was in the access tram, and there must have been 50 wires dangling down from this bulkhead in this tram. And he sort of pointed at it. He said, "Yeah, I've sorted all that." And I'm looking at it thinking, well, that's just a string of coloured spaghetti as far as I'm concerned. But I had a guy there who knew exactly what he'd done. He knew exactly what connected to where. He'd gone through the process. He knew exactly what it was, and he knew exactly what he'd done. And he knew it was going to work because he'd done all the testing, but he'd come with that skill set. That's not a skill set I've got. For me, it was just a jumble of wires. But the guy's empowered to go and make that right decision and connect the wires up right to make the tram work. And I knew it worked. He said, "Oh, the lights work now in here," and he flicked the lights on, and nothing blew up. So I knew that obviously we'd managed to he'd managed to get at least the lights were working. But for me, that's about
That's a great story.
That's just about saying to somebody, "Look, just go and fill your boots. Do what you're good at. Let me just give you an environment where you can do what you're great at, and I'll come back and you can show me what you've done." And that's what they do.
So just listening to you, you sound full of pride, full of excitement, passion, energy. Is that key in being a good leader?
I think it is. I think I think people have got to see that you believe in what you're doing, and you believe in the mission of the organisation. I think I think you absolutely, whatever organisation you work for, you have to believe, particularly as a salesperson and a sales leader, I think you've got to believe that what you're selling is a real solution to an individual's problem or challenge. And you've got to believe that you've got the right solution for that. And I think if you don't have that passion, then I think it's really, really difficult to engage others in that enthusiasm. And otherwise, your relationship with your employer just becomes very, very transactional. And long-term transactional relationships with organisations are never going to be as successful as if you are bought into the mission of what you're trying to do.
So, Graham, tell me, what's the most important lesson you've learned in your life?
I think the most important lesson for me is I don't have all the answers, and it's important that in business and in life as well, that most of life is about working as a team.
I found that really interesting. I hope you did too. I was particularly interested in his thoughts about the importance of people in business. and the importance of managing people and empowering people to achieve results. I also loved the piece about he's talking about his passion for the access tram, and not just for people to go on a tram in a wheelchair, but to be able to actually drive a tram. And that's quite amazing. And I'm really am hopeful that's going to be a big success for the Tramway Museum. So thanks for listening. I do hope you found it interesting. And as usual, if you have any suggestions for people that I can invite, just message me.